Here we're gonna start with feeding our starter. Okay, first step we wanna do, get your starter out of the fridge and bring it to room temperature. Usually takes a couple hours. This is kind of what a starter that needs to be fed looks like. You can see it good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna feed it, and all it is it's equal parts starter, flour, and water. Set my scale up to grams. Find my device that I'm gonna be putting my starter into. So I'm gonna put it in this. I like to move my starter around because I don't like dirty jars. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna measure out 120 grams of starter. I'm gonna do water. Same thing, 120 grams. And then 120 grams of flour. Now, simply mix it up until it's a good sludge. A nice little sludge like that. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna let it sit and do its business for probably about 5 to 6 hours. Cover it with something, doesn't need to be sealed heavy, but something just keep the dust and crap out. A lot of people use a towel, other people have little nets that you could buy, but anything works. We'll see in a little bit, buddy. So this leftover that we have left, not a lot in this one, is called discard. And discard is what you're basically getting rid of and allow the bacteria to feed on fresh flour and stuff. So, but this is still usable. There's all kinds of recipes you can do. So I just have one of these that's in the fridge and I just add it to my discard jar. And then whenever you want to make something with discard, you can totally do that. There's lots of cool options. You can even just straight up pan fry this stuff and with herbs and spices and stuff. Additional information about starter and discard. So discard really is just starter that you don't need, you know, and obviously you don't want to keep feeding it without getting rid of some because as it grows, it's going to need even more food, right? You know, so you're equal parts. So you basically get rid of extra. That way you're only feeding a small amount and keeping a small amount, you know, for example. So I tend to do 100 grams. So I'll put 100 grams of starter. The rest I'll consider discard, you know, and then I'll add the 100 grams of water and 100 grams of flour. And then that will be my starter. And then that discard will go in the jar. Another thing to note, this is not something you just rinse down to drain. This stuff, as it dries, turns to concrete and will totally screw up your plumbing systems if you're not careful. So if you have little chunks of stuff in the sink, paper towel, and wipe the chunks all out, and then do your rinse down. Now you can let this just soak in the sink for a while, but just make sure you don't have any big chunks going down your sink because it can be nasty. See, starting to get some bubbles. We're about 2 hours in here. It's kind of hard to tell, but she's definitely grown. You can see along the side. We're getting some nice bubbly, some cultivation happening. Yeah, eat that flour. Yum, yum, yum. All right, we're back. It's been about 5 hours, I think. You can see our starters nice and full. It's doubled in size. When you look at it, oh, look at that, nice, all that webbing and that good stuff. Yeah, that's good. Here's we're gonna make a single loaf. Which is essentially 500 grams of flour. I'm gonna start adding all that in. Stuff, it's all mixed up, it's nice. I'm just gonna start pouring it right in until we get 100 grams. So this will just go right back in the fridge as it is. And then later on, if I wanna make another loaf, I'll pull it back out. Same thing, I'll feed it and then make another loaf. We're gonna go ahead and put our 375 grams of water in there. Just gonna mix up the starter in with the water a little bit. Nothing crazy. Just enough to get it blended a little bit there. I'm gonna do 10 grams of salt. There we go. And we got 10. All right, next up, we're gonna do our 500 grams of flour. That's it. Now we're just gonna mix it up till it's a nice sludge that looks very much like the starter did. And then after it's mixed lightly, we're just gonna let it sit. And then we'll move on to the next step after a half hour. see it starts to go into that shaggy area, which is good. That's good. I'm gonna leave it pretty much just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back every half hour for the next 4 stops, for the next 4 half-hour points. And we're gonna do what are called stretch and pulls, or some folds. I've done it both ways. They both seem to do the same thing, but I'll show you those next. So see you in about half hour. I didn't forget to tell you, you do want to cover it. Make sure you keep the stuff out. Doesn't need to be airtight, just, you know, the towel's all you need. All right, here we are, half hour later. Take a little dough. It's a nice little wet mess, which is what you want. A little bit of water on your hands. Just enough to keep it from sticking too much. To keep my hands like this, because if I see this, you get the stuff all in between. So I'm just gonna pull it away from the sides. I'm gonna stretch it up, and I'm gonna fold it. Pull away from the sides, stretch it up, fold it. Pull away from the sides, stretch it up, fold it. I do this between like 8 and 10 times. And that's it. See you in about a half hour. Here we are. Round 2. A little bit of water. See, it's starting to actually look like something. Same thing. Just gonna pull it around. Another 9 times or so. You can see it's starting to actually turn into a nice little dough. It's starting to look smooth, pretty. You're not getting crazy. You're not trying to do a sandwich. You're just trying to kind of activate all that gluten and stuff with the stretches and pulls. And the next 2, what we're gonna do is what I call coil folds. This is what I'm starting to do more often. They say it's better because it does less damage to the gluten and stuff. So we'll see that on the next half hour. Back again. Starting to look nice, you see, very good. So what we're gonna do this time is a coil fold. Oh, my hands. Same thing as before. You get it off the edges like this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick it up, kind of fold it on itself like that. Fold it over. You just look good on that one. Off the wall, buddy. And fold it over. And fold it over. You can see it's starting to really start taking nice dough shape. All right, here we are with our last one. We're gonna do our last coil fold. Get off the edge. Pick it up. And on top of itself.
Pick it up, on top of itself, turn. Pick it up, on top of itself, turn. Pick it up, turn.
Nice. Okay, you can start to see some bubbles coming in. That's good. Now, we are just gonna let this thing go and rise until it's twice its size. Now, the best thing you should do is use something that you can measure with. I like these. They're like 10 bucks on Amazon. And a loaf usually goes to about here, and then it's nice and easy to see that it goes to like here. But for the purpose of this video, you don't need to buy anything. So I just take a picture of how it looks and then keep an eyeball on it. So you just kind of cover it and leave it for about 2 to 3 hours to rise. This is where it all depends on the temperature of the room. Obviously, the warmer room it's gonna be is gonna make it rise faster. One little trick you can do is put it into the microwave with the door open, and the light will generate just enough heat to kind of accelerate that a little bit. Okay, we're back. And we're ready to do this. Bread's nice and raised, ready to roll. See what we're doing? Let's get the flour on your surface. Bench scraper, plastic ones, they're nice. Not necessary, but they're nice. Because as you work around, you're just gonna bring this right out onto the tape. There she is. And from here, you're really just kind of folding up all that nice, good moisture on the inside, which is why you flour at the bottom. So I'm just gonna take over here and like wrap it up kind of like a baby diaper. Here. And if it gets kind of stuck, you put the flour, just use your bench scraper, bring it over, bring that over there. Kind of sealing all that wet in using the flour. And then what you're doing is you want to get it into a nice ball and create some tension, and that will help with the rising. So what you do is you take like a bench scraper and you just kind of do like a motion like this where you kind of tighten it up together.
Now I'm new at this, so this is just the way I do it. I've seen some people, they do like a palm technique too, where they just kind of wrap it like this. That works as well too. But either way, what you're trying to do is make this kind of compressed, so you get that good rise that comes out of it. If it's too like flat, you won't get that nice big arch that you're looking for with sourdough. So once you get kind of a nice tight little ball, it's ready to go into a banneton. Tighter. This is rice flour. It is gluten-free, so it won't stick as well. And also, if you want to like make the top of your bread look nice, when you do decorations and stuff, you use the rice flour because it stays white the best. So you just kind of dust in it, and then you're going to take this thing that you did, a couple more pressure strokes to create some tension in there, and then you just flop it right in upside down. That's what you got. I'm going to straighten out a little bit here, and then you just kind of pinch the bottom together like this. Again, you're wanting to create that tension, which allows it to kind of proof better and get nice and fuller. And from here, you're ready to stick it in the fridge and proof it overnight. You just cover it up with a tea towel or one of these cool little things that you can get as well, these little hairnet thingies. And you literally just put it in the fridge overnight, and in the morning when you get up, we're gonna bake it. See you in the morning. One additional thing I'd like to note is you do not need to buy a banneton basket if you don't want to. You can recreate the same thing with a bowl. You know, here's, for example, we could use this bowl, and you could use a tea towel, you know, which is obviously the tea towels are the ones that are really fine. They don't have all this fiber that the other have. So you could just literally place it in here and then, you know, flour it just like you would a banneton basket. Just give it good flour, and you'll be able to use this for proofing in your fridge without actually having to buy a banneton basket. All right, here we are the next morning. We're ready to bake some bread. Just got my dough out of the fridge. But first steps you need to do is get your oven preheated to 450 degrees. And you want to preheat it with your Dutch oven inside. So yeah, we cook the bread inside of a Dutch oven. And the reason for that is because you want to maintain all that moisture in the bread as much as possible. And because it's a Dutch oven, it's cast iron, it takes a while to heat up. So we have to put it in the oven with the lid off, and I'll show you that in a minute. And just preheat the whole thing for 30 minutes minimum. And then all we're really doing is we're gonna prep our bread, and we're gonna plop it in there, and we're gonna cook it. So let's take a look at how we got going on here. Oh yeah, she looks good. You can see it's risen quite a bit, which is nice. So this is a nice little silicone bread mat. I forget what they're formally called, but they are nice. But you do not need them. You can totally use parchment paper. It's just after cooking a few, I was like, you know, being able to get in and out of the pot easily is really nice. And sometimes, you know, if you have a big loaf, the parchment paper will kind of make it look a little wonky. So I went ahead and bought these. They're cheap. They're like 2 for $10. And they're silicone, so they're nice and easy. So I'm just gonna put it right on top, and I'm gonna flip this bad boy upside down. And then because we rice floured the top, there's no stickiness. Just gonna get rid of all that extra stuff. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna score it. And so this is called a lame or a lam, I don't know, still I hear it go both ways, but it's essentially just a razor blade. They have different ones, they have ones with handles. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna give it the nice cut and score it at a 45-degree angle. And what that is gonna do is gonna give that bread that ability to open up and get that nice ear that you see on so many rustic loaves. We'll go ahead and just score at, again, at a 45-degree angle. So I'm gonna come here and just kind of just cut it right through. Like that. Now, I am no good at this, but it's still fun. So it's always good to experiment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do some little cuts and some sort of decoration here to make it kind of look like a little piece of grain or something, or like wheat, you know. Just a little something, just so you can see what it looks like and the potential. For real artistic people, I'm sure it's awesome. Next up, we're going to dust it with flour. So as part of the dusting process, we are using rice flour. And the reason for that is it doesn't brown as easily, so it can give you a lot of that white look. I haven't quite figured this out because mine doesn't look as white and beautiful as some of the other people, but I also don't care that much. The very last step is we are going to spray the top with water. And the reason for that is if the top bakes too fast, you won't get that nice spring you're looking for. So I found out after some research, if you just, moisten the top liberally, it helps create some of that spring and rise. So we're gonna do that. I'm just gonna give it a nice little bath. Just like that. I'm not scared of the water. Because again, it's gonna go into that Dutch oven and it's gonna create a nice steamy heat bath for it. Just gonna pull the rack out so we can work. This right here, this pan is helped to keep the heat from burning the bottom too much. Sometimes what I've noticed happen is, because you're putting this into a hot pan, the bottom can get a little tough. So one of the suggestions was to put a pan underneath it, and it helps displace that heat and keep the bottom from burning so much. So we're just gonna simply take it in there, just like this, and just plop her right in. So here it already starts to sizzle because it's in that 450 degree pan, which is nice. Lid on top. Right over the middle, so we know it's right over the pan. There we go, and we're gonna cook that for 30 minutes at 450 degrees. All right, here we are. We are a half hour in, and it's time to cut the temperature down to 425. And then we're going to just simply remove the lid. It's gonna give the top time to brown. Plus we'll get to see how we're looking. Oh, she's beautiful. Yeah. Needs a little color. See a nice big ear there. We'll see you in a minute. We're gonna let this cook for 15 to 20 minutes at 425. It's gonna give us a nice golden color and some nice crisp on the top. All right, here we are at the 15-minute mark after baking it at 425 with the top off. Take a look at how she looks. And there we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Looks good. Bottom looks really nice. Yeah. Just gonna let it sit. Open air. They say you should not cut it for a minimum of 4 hours. She is in all her pride and glory. And you can see my feeble attempts at some leaves. Got a little blowout there, but the beautiful thing is that it doesn't matter. You want all this crispy blistering, and this is what the water helps too, is this nice blistering. It gives you that wonderful crispy outside. Got a decent little ear here. Favorite parts at the end too is that if you listen close, you can hear it crisping and crackling. I was already making a second loaf, so I just went ahead and experimented, and I really just dusted the crap out of it, and it came out way better. I basically used probably 3 times the amount on that, but you can see it looks really nice. You can see the potential. You can actually see the beginnings of my little wheat. Yes. All right. Now it has not been the 4 hours, but I really just want to cut into it and eat some for lunch, so I'm not gonna wait. It's just fine. Let's see how she looks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, bottom slices through nicely. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. So, bread like this is different than store-bought bread. There's no preservatives, nothing like that. So you're only gonna get probably 4 to 5 days out of this loaf. And they work differently. You don't want to put it in a plastic bag or a Ziploc. It needs to breathe. So really what you do is you can leave it completely uncut on your counter, wide open, 24 hours, no problem. And then when you do cut it, you literally can just leave it face down on your cutting board and just leave it like this. So if you're gonna make some toast tomorrow, you can leave it like this. After a couple days, of course, it'll start to get a little hard, and then you can move it into a Ziploc bag, you put it in the fridge. You might get an extra day or 2 out of it, but I would really plan on just using that loaf inside of 4 or 5 days. And the beautiful thing is that when it does start to get a little stale, you can totally just toast it and you will never know. It will be just as amazing. One of the other tips that I learned is that if you don't like the super hard exterior, you can basically, as soon as it comes out of the oven, you can just sweat it with a tea towel. You just cover it up literally like this, and as it cools, it will hold in that moisture more and it'll make the bread softer. I personally like the crunchy outside, but it's a good variation if you like to mix it up a little bit. Also, this is how you can store it overnight. You just cover it up with a tea towel and let it be. It still lets it breathe, but it also keeps everything out of it and keeps the freshness a little bit longer. The last thing I wanted to mention is that I know that it can be tough to get through a whole loaf of bread in 4 days. Oh, look at that dough. Man, that's beautiful. Sorry. So you can totally freeze it. So what I will do is I will leave this one out and we'll eat this one this week. And then I will freeze this one. And all I do is completely wrap it in plastic wrap. A couple layers, few layers, because believe it or not, this this ear will cut right through it if you're not careful. Or, you know, the problem is they don't really fit in Ziploc bags if you get a good rise on it. But a whole bunch of cellophane and then in tin foil and then freeze it. And you're good to go. And believe it or not, this sounds really weird, but what you do is when you bring it out to use, you literally take off the cellophane and the tin foil and you run it under cold water and get the whole thing wet, like literally under the faucet. And then throw it into an oven at 300 something. I do 320, but there's all different types of, you know, opinions out there. But you put it in the oven for 320 for 25 to 30 minutes, and that thing comes out like it is brand spanking cooked. And it's fantastic. So if you get to the point where you make 2 loaves at once, you know, you double your recipe, so you got 1,000 grams. You do 2 loaves at once, and then you keep one, and then you save one, or give one to friends and family, and they'll love you forever.